The causes of environmental problems are economic. They're an unintentional byproduct of economic activity, well-intentioned economic activity. They are, in the words of economists, externalities, external to the decision-making framework. And the consequences of environmental problems also have very important economic dimensions. So if the causes are economic and the consequences are economic, then surely economics can offer a perspective of tremendous value. That's as true for problems such as local air and water pollution as it is for what seems to be the granddaddy of all environmental problems, global climate change linked with the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere due to the use of fossil fuels to generate energy. An example of an economic incentive in the case of global climate change would be the policy instrument that was used successfully to get the lead out of gasoline in the United States and was also used successfully to cut acid rain by 50%. It's a tradable permit system, also known as cap and trade, much demonized by conservatives as cap and tax, which is ironic because Ronald Reagan brought us a cap and trade system to get the lead out of gasoline, and President George H.W. Bush brought us the highly successful cap and trade system to cut sulfur dioxide emissions by half. That's the only way probably that it will be possible in this economy to cut greenhouse gas emissions. Cap and trade, a market-based approach to environmental protection, was demonized and is still demonized by conservatives. It's not because of the instrument itself, it was rather collateral damage in the climate change wars. So because of opposition to climate change policy, possibly for sound reasons, possibly not, the mechanism that was used was to attack and to develop talking points around the mechanism, cap and trade. The reason why cap and trade has not succeeded essentially in the U.S. Senate, whereas it did in the House of Representatives, is political. And it doesn't fundamentally have to do with environmental policy. It has to do with broader political factors which have led to the increasing separation, the increasing distance between the two political parties. Going back to the first Earth Day in 1970, indeed for 40 years, environmental and energy issues in the United States have been regional issues. The voting was always on geographic region, not on political party. That's no longer the case. This has now become an issue that has taken on a political partisan tinge. My thinking on climate change has certainly changed over time. So I wouldn't say that I started out as a climate skeptic, but it was only after listening to more and more evidence from my colleagues in the natural sciences that I became convinced that this was an important environmental problem that had to be addressed. Beyond that, for many years I had argued that the U.S. should not take domestic action on climate change until there was an international arrangement which was credible. I've since then come to believe that these two have to move in parallel because U.S. domestic action is a necessary condition for an international agreement, and so they have to actually go together.